meeting may watch the live stream on Carson City Advisory Board of Managed Wildlife meeting at www.carsoncity.gov/GRANICUS and by clicking on in progress next to the meeting date or by tuning in to cable channel 191. Live stream of the meeting is provided solely as a courtesy and convenience to the public. Carson City does not give any assurance or guarantee that the live stream or cable channel access will be reliable, although all reasonable efforts will be made to provide live stream. Unanticipated technical difficulties beyond the control of city staff may delay, interrupt, or render unavailable continuous live stream capability. The public may provide public comment in advance of the meeting by written submission to the following email address, which is, I don't think it's no longer correct. Is that right, Zach?
We still use that one.
Use that, would it be bmunez@carsoncity.gov for inclusion or reference in the minutes of the meeting. Your public comment must include your full name and be submitted via email by not later than 3 p.m. the day before the meeting. Public comment during the meeting is limited to 3 minutes for each speaker. As such, I called to order the County Advisory Board of Managed Wildlife meeting for June 22nd to be in order. Roll call, please.
Chair Fleming, Vice Chair Beamer, Member Dimmitt,
Present.
Member Stewart,
Here.
and Member Thompson.
Present.
We have a quorum.
And please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Dimmitt, if you want to lead us, please.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. At this time, it's open up to public comment. The public is invited at this time to provide comment on any topic that relates to a matter over which this public body has supervised, control, jurisdiction, or advisory power, including any such matter that is not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. No action may be taken on a matter raised during the period for public comment. Do we have any public comment online? Nothing? Okay, we'll move over. For possible action, the approval of the minutes, that the members present have an opportunity to review the minutes. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve May 4th meeting minutes.
I second the approval.
May I get is it what's called a vote? Yeah. Can I get a vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor say nay. Ayes have it. Move on to number 6 would be for discussion only, an update from attendees to the May 8th and 9th, 2026 Nevada Wildlife Commission meeting, and that was me. And so just a couple of things that it took down was that the technology committee is moving forward with looking at implementation of e-tags for the future. The department is trying to establish a crayfish population up in the Cave Lake, and when it's established, they're going to introduce smallmouth bass, which I thought was pretty cool. And then also, the department is looking into studying the construction of wildlife crossings in the south of Wells in the area of Spruce Mountain and in and around Pioche. And correct me if I'm wrong here in this. And then also the department is going into an agreement with private landowners up in Area 7 to create the Windermere Hills Wildlife Management Area or Conservation Wildlife Management Area, which is up in 07. There was a discussion in regards that precipitation was near normal for this year, but it came in the form of water or rain. And not snowpack. And currently, at the time of the meeting last month, that the snowpack was pretty much zero across the state. The concern for wildland fire was more centered around the amount of fuel rather than drought conditions. Because I guess from the rain, the grasses were growing more, and thus once that dries out, it just goes into it. But I thought it was pretty interesting. There was a discussion by biologists in regards to the to approximately 20% loss of shrubland or sageland within the state due to wildland fires. It was a pretty good presentation showing the amount of habitat that was lost to fire, to a direct decrease in the mule deer herd in the state. And then how mule deer are having a negative response in regards to invasive annual grasses and the implication of a strategic management within the state for those. And there's active control plans for these annual invasive species. When I was a positive because of the increase in grasslands, elk and antelope have benefited from it as the deer have been negatively impacted. One of the things, several of the cabs came during public speaking to urge the commission to take a stance on the control and management of the feral horse herds. And a couple of the cabs out east have actually submitted letters to their county commissions to where those counties declared a county emergency. And then the commission also improved the regulation to prohibit the automatic range finding scopes and self-adjusting sights. And then they also accepted a petition from a Mr. Evans in regards to removing a compound bull's let-off limit. And this is going to go to workshop. Any questions? Kurt? With that, we'll move on to number 7 for discussion only would be the update and activity report on Carson City Urban Wildlife Committee. Rob normally has the input for that, but does anybody like anything to share in regards to urban wildlife? All right, we move on to number 8 for discussion only, reports and informational. The following items are informational and for discussion only, no action may be taken. Any item requiring action will be scheduled for a future agenda. The Carson City Advisory Board to Manage Wildlife may discuss these items as they relate to the upcoming Nevada Board of Wildlife meeting. Would any of the board members like to pull an item for discussion? Are you guys here to talk specifically to something or just for questions?
Carl wasn't able to make it.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, bro, appreciate that. Thank you. Do either you know anything about the easement access easement that's going on? Or as much as I do?
No, are you talking the wine cup?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I know that we're working on it, but I don't have any
Okay.
details. It would be a huge loss to, a tremendous amount of habitat for hunters. It'd be a pivotal
Mm-hmm.
piece of land to get through, but no, unfortunately, I don't know much about the one yet.
Kirk, Doris, anything?
I don't have anything to pull either.
Since no members wish to discuss any of the informational reports, we'll move on to consent agenda items. These number 10 is for possible action, or any action items. Of these action items, would anybody like to pull one for discussion? I want to pull 10L.
10D, the strategic, the Raven management projects, what that involves. Like, do we have to manage raven populations because they're affecting the sage grouse
Yeah,
Yeah,
population?
I can comment on that a little bit.
Please.
10D.
I don't know how this works.
Yeah, once we poll them for discussion, we'll approve the ones that we're not addressing, and then we'll go into discussion for each one. And we'll just open up for public and then
So could we please poll at
10D, yep. Only one? Kirk, anything other than what we pulled already?
No, I'm good with everything else.
Okay, if I could get a motion then to approve as written. Consent agenda items 10A through C, E through K, and M.
I approve.
Get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We'll move to the two items we wish to be polled. First one is 10D, which is fiscal year 2027 Habitat Research and Management Project Proposal. At the June 26, 2026 meeting, the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners will review committee recommendations that may take actions to approve up to $415,731 for projects submitted for fiscal year 2027. Funds requested are listed below. Fiscal year 27 fawn collaring project, that's $70,000. Fiscal year 27 Nevada in-state pronghorn trap and transplant, $75,000. Fiscal year 27 occupancy and movement patterns of elk in the Goshute Mountains, $45,731. Fiscal year 27 Great Partridge Habitat Associations. Fiscal year 27 response to wildfire and spatial variations of abundance using autonomous recording units in northern Nevada at $45,000. Fiscal year 2027 strategic mapping and prioritization of mule deer habitat in Nevada, year 2, continuation of $120,000. And then fiscal year 27 raven management in Nevada, assessing the impact of spatially variable ecological thresholds on sage grouse conservation efforts, year 2 of a continuation of $60,000. Is there any public comment regarding to any of that?
I don't necessarily have any public comment, but if you.
Well, if you want to move up, turn your mic on, state your name.
So Johnny Vonek, Nevada Department of Wildlife. I'm the Washoe County game biologist, so similar to Carl, but just for Washoe County. Your initial question was, do we have to manage ravens or what is the purpose of the raven management? So Pete Coates is a researcher with the USGS, and he's been studying the relationship between ravens and sage grouse for about 30 years now. And what he'd found is there's a threshold where when you have a certain density of breeding pairs of ravens, it has a negative impact on how many sage grouse chicks will survive. And so through the past, we thought that number was constant. And what Pete is looking to do here is he's looking to see if that threshold of number of breeding pairs of ravens changes across different ecological types. So maybe, leks that are closer to cities, like the ones just above Reno, may be able to have different densities of ravens close to those leks compared to things that are, way out far in northern Washoe. But the purpose of this money is to assess the feasibility of some of the raven removal efforts that we're doing, and if we are actually benefiting those sage grouse leks and actually seeing some sort of positive growth.
I'm involved a great deal with turtle and tortoise conservation worldwide, and there is an incredible studies being done about raven population and baby tortoise deaths, and that's why I'm interested in this, because ravens are detrimental to baby tortoise populations. That's why I was wondering how they were, I was very interested that you're seeing this with the sage populations.
Yep.
And I'm very interested to know if they're seeing that in southern Nevada with baby desert tortoises with raven populations being a problem. 'Cause
Oh,
it's-
for sure.
Yeah. It's
So-
a very, very big problem with tortoises worldwide with ravens.
Yeah, Pete Coates, he actually developed something called a SMART tool. And so what it does is it looks at different raven densities across the state of Nevada. And then you can look at distance to lek. And the whole point of that is to try and remove breeding pairs. So we could go out and just, blanket remove ravens across the landscape. But what he found is if you do that, you open up territory where you then get more ravens that are just infiltrating that area. So if you remove the breeding pairs that are in and around the nests, you reduce the amount of predation on the chicks. But for sure, we're seeing that with desert tortoise down south as well.
I know they've been using drones, and they spray the eggs with oil so
Yep.
they don't hatch. They do all kinds of things like that. So I was just curious about how that was really, if that was really that serious of a problem. So
Oh yeah,
'cause I know it's a big problem elsewhere.
we're boiling thousands of eggs each year during lekking season with corvicide. So it's
okay.
a poison that is specific to corvids, so ravens, magpies, and crows. And then we'll place those eggs around the sage grouse leks. The ravens will then come in and eat them, and then we can kind of target birds that are close to the leks. But
So this money is to do the study, or is this money to actually do the?
nope, this is only for the study. So a
Okay.
couple years ago, when the predator fee got split apart, where there's lethal versus the habitat research and management, because that's a lethal component, that's part of the other $3 predator fee. This is only studying the impacts of
Okay.
that raven removal. But within the predator plan, we still have raven removal that goes on for the protection of sage grouse.
Great, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
for sure. Did you guys have any other
Yeah,
questions on
I
that?
was just curious when they, under the response to wildfire and the spatial variation of abundance using autonomous recording units, are they flying drones, or is this some sort of static autonomous collection device? And what are we collecting?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not as familiar with that HRM proposal or. Okay.
Oh, I see, response to wildfire. Sorry, Becca Carniello, Nevada Department of Wildlife, for the record. I'm not sure which species they're looking at specifically, spatial variation of abundance, but they're just using, they're these little tiny recording units, and you can just stick them out. Well, actually in sagebrush, you kind of stick them on a pole, and it records, it's usually songbirds or bat calls, and then you can determine the occurrence of those different species that are there. I think that's what they're looking at, but I'm not sure which species they're looking at specifically.
That's very interesting. And then when we talk about in-state pronghorn trap and transplant, they're just moving them from one area to another. Oh yeah, just come on up, man.
We'll tag team it.
Just state your name again, please.
Yeah, John Ivanek, Nevada Department of Wildlife, for the record. I don't like that I can hear myself now.
Yeah.
So yeah, in parts of the state, we have pronghorn that are bursting at the seams, and we're having some issues with private landowners where we're having, upwards of 800 pronghorn camped out on the PX ranch. They're normally pretty good about allowing hunters onto their place and allowing public access. But they expressed a lot of interest in moving some of those pronghorn elsewhere to kind of alleviate the burden on some of their alfalfa. And so with that, instead of trying to come up with a depredation hunt right around the ranch, we figured why not try and get creative and move some of those does to other places within the state. So currently, we're proposing to move some of those from Area 6 as well as from Area 043 to 046 to 041, 042, so kind of out in the Lovelock area. Some will go into the Pine Nuts in 291.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other group will go into Area 13, but I can't recall
Right.
which part of Area
Right.
13. But trying to move them around to help some of the other herds out instead of having depredation doe hunts on a private ranch where there's going to be congestion issues.
So since we're talking antelope, now, like in 041 or the Lovelock area, Rye Patch area, is the horses still impacting the herds to the extent that they have been?
Yeah, this summer there's a gather scheduled for Seven Wings and Blue Trough, or Seven Wings and Blue Trough is that the HMA that they're going to pull horses out of. So we're anticipating them pulling quite a few horses out of that HMA. And then once that burden's relieved, then we're thinking fill that void with pronghorn and try and
So
get
that's
them
why
in there.
you're moving them from both through, 43 and 46
Yep.
north.
Yeah, exactly, into 041, 042. As soon as they do the gather. We won't do it until
Till
they've done the
it's done.
gather. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's pretty
Yeah,
horse rich.
yeah, exactly. I'm good. But I could ask questions all day, but I'm good.
I'm good.
Kirk? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to share before?
No, did you have questions on 10L or will that be separate?
Oh, well, we can move on to 10 now if you just want to step. The only thing I really want to bring up on 10 now is just to advise the public is that there's a typo in the agenda item because they list 64 twice rather than 61, 62, 64. And that was just the one thing I just wanted to bring up if anybody was listening to this, that it's not anybody that hunts birds up in 61, that it's still open. But other than that, I guess the only question I would ask is, has the department thought about ever extending upland by another week to move it like one more week beyond Oregon?
Yeah, John Ivonic, Nevada Department of Wildlife, for the record. So we had a pretty lengthy discussion this year at our upland game season setting meeting. Initially, there was some concern with how dry the season's been. Sure, we've been getting precipitation, but it's been in the form of rain. And then last year, we had pretty poor chukar and quail production. We're anticipating another year of pretty poor chukar and quail production. So we kind of tossed around the idea, do we push the season 1 week later? Do we push it earlier? What do we do with the season? Ultimately, we ended up moving it 1 week later because there's a study that Randy Larson did through Utah showing that people, I hate to say pounding, but people hitting birds really heavily that first week when they're really tied to water can have an additive impact and you can really hurt some of those populations at a local scale. We then argued, or not argued, but tossed around the idea of pushing that season a week later. However, in the event that we do get heavy snowfall, it congregates those birds down lower on the mountain, and then that last week of the season, you could have a similar effect where they're really concentrated down low and people could clean up on them, so to speak. The other thing that we discussed is that we already in Nevada start to see birds pairing up the last week of the chukar season. And so once those pair bonds are made, we don't really want to be, harvesting those birds after they've paired up because that's going to have some impacts for their reproduction the following year. So if we push that 1 week later into the season, there's a chance that we might be impacting those breeding pairs even further. So we're trying to be sensitive to the fact that we're having a pretty poor water year by delaying the season a week, but not increasing it and having it run further into February. And then also looking at the number of calendar days. It's the same number of days as last year with the way that the season falls. It's just that it starts a little bit later in October this year.
Oh, some good info. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, a totally valid question, and we
Yeah.
we toss those ideas around, and I mean, you have guys like me. I love hunting late season, right?
Yeah, no,
But
yeah,
you
for
can
sure.
have an impact as they're starting to, like you kick them up the last week of the season, and they're paired up already.
Yeah,
You know
I
what you're
never,
doing.
I never had the consideration. And the only reason I thought it was like last year, or earlier this year, I was down in Arizona chasing Merns, and I was like, I left like the end of January, and it was like end of February, well, end of January. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be able to catch a few more days of chucker, and I got here, it was like, what do you mean the season's over? And it was like, oh, it's the first weekend in February.
The other point that was brought up in the meeting is several of the surrounding states close at a similar time. So if all of a sudden Nevada is open, 1 week later, then you draw a whole lot of attention from
Yeah.
Utah, California, and a whole bunch of non-residents fleeing or,
I get
pushing
it.
into the state.
Yeah, I get it.
But
Right. It makes total sense to me. Makes total sense. Doris, Kirk, any further questions?
Nothing from me.
Yeah, how's our pheasant population doing?
So after the 2022-23 winter, the Paradise Valley was insane with pheasants. It was a pretty crazy chick year for most of the upland species, and it seemed like you couldn't drive down the road without bumping into a pheasant. Since then, we've had a couple of poor recruitment years, and they've kind of slowly tapered off a little bit. For Mason Valley, they really are struggling, the few birds that are left out there. They had good chick recruitment in that 22-23 winter, but then the habitat's just not there. A lot of that Mason Valley wildlife area is kind of grown up a little bit more in terms of like the brush that's in there, and it doesn't seem to be as conducive for pheasants compared to like for turkeys. It's doing good. We're doing really well on turkeys right now. Similarly, I think a lot of the agriculture that used to have, all sorts of edges and phenomenal habitat down in Mason Valley has kind of been converted to where now we're farming edge to edge on the field, and there's not much cover crop left for pheasants, and then converting a lot of it to stuff that's less desirable for pheasants, like onions and garlic. You kind of have a net loss for birds. So they're down a little bit. I can't say that we have a super bright outlook for pheasants, but if you're after them, I'd probably target Paradise Valley is going to be your best bet.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. We're good. We're good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
absolutely.
All right, with the information provided today in regards to action items 10D and 10L, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all those nay. Ayes have it. Move on. That leads us to the end of consent agenda. None of the items polled. I will forward this over to the chairman. Move to number 12 for discussion only. The Carson City Advisory Board. Oh, in fact, let me go back. Do we have any public opinion on any of that? We do not. For discussion on item number 12, for discussion only, the Carson City Advisory Board to manage wildlife will discuss members' commitments to the meetings on June 26 and 27 in Winnemucca and in August 14th and 15th in Tonopah. I know I will be unavailable this weekend. I will be in Colorado.
I am also unavailable this weekend, but I can actually go in August to Tonopah.
Perfect.
I'm out of town in June, so I don't know what August looks like, but we'll have to come back to that later.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll get a hold of members Beamer and just Ray Vaporlock Corbett. Okay. And then item number 13 for discussion only. Is there any future agenda items from the board members?
I don't have any.
That moves on to number 14, public comment.
I was approached by a member of the public with a question.
Oh, go
Is this
shoot.
the time to bring it up?
Yep, time to bring it up.
They brought to me a question about a predator trap that they heard about from somebody, and they asked me to come to this committee and ask if it's something that's used in Nevada. And they said it was called a cyanide bomb. Is this something that's used in Nevada?
John Ivonic, Nevada Department of Wildlife. To my knowledge, no, we're not. We
They're not used
currently
in
do not
Nevada?
have cyanide bombs out there. I did see the legislation that you're talking about that made it to where those could be used on public land, but currently any of the predator projects that we have with wildlife services, that's not a method that they're using.
Okay, so they're not legal to use in the state of Nevada.
I'm not sure about whether they're legal or not, but
Okay.
we, our contract with wildlife services does not have that as a legal method currently.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
And that moves us on to item number 15 for possible action, to adjourn. I get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Oh, ayes have it.